Good morning, grade 9 science. So I've done this all year for my grade 11 and 12 physics because it's fully online. So you get a little taste of kind of online Mr. Westwood for this. So this is a little helpful video just to kind of try and help you with your first, well, this is now our second week of online, but the second part of our little biology genetics part here. So this is when we're looking at a trait. You'll be going and asking some family members some questions about a trait. But let's actually first hopefully try and understand what this is. There's a little LinkedIn video as well that you guys can watch for, I think, Amoeba Sisters. But let's talk about what a trait is. So in our DNA is, again, all through our body. It's what codes for all the different things in our whole entire body. So why do I have brown hair? Why do I have blue eyes? Why am I 5'10"-ish? Why? There's so many questions. Again, why do I have this little peak in my hair, which is called the widow's peak, which is a trait that I'll talk about. It's because that my DNA has coded for that. So there is really, really long strands of DNA in many parts of our body that have little codes that tell my body what to look like and what to do and how to be, because that's what was passed down from me, to me, from my parents. Okay? And so that's kind of like what our DNA does. Now, what is a trait? A trait is like one little coded part of our DNA. And so, what is a trait? It's a coded part of DNA. Okay, so if I were to draw a very, very bad, but just thing, so let's say this is our DNA, it's our strand, that kind of stuff. Let's say that right at the very top, there's this little chunk here, right here and here. This chunk codes for eye color. Okay, and let's say lower down, this one is for hair color. And lower down, this chunk codes for hairline. So that would be a trait. A trait is like a little chunk of your DNA that codes for something that you now see in your actual body. Okay, and there's many, many different types of traits. Some are obviously pretty hard to actually see, like heart function and lung function and all that kind of stuff. But some are much easier to see and to compare right away. Okay, eye color, hair color being some of the easiest, and you guys can obviously choose that as well if you want. Okay, I'm gonna give a little background history for you guys of a little bit of my family. Okay, so talking about hair color, and so this will be an exact example of what you want to do for part 2. In the sense of talking to family and figuring out their traits, okay? If I were to do hair color, like again, I have very dark hair. My father has dark hair. My mother, though, has blonde hair, okay? My brother also has blonde hair, okay? And so if I go farther and farther and farther back, okay, my grandfathers and then grandmothers on both my sides, my dad's side has very dark hair, both of them. On my mom's side, like her dad has blonde hair, her mother has dark hair. And so we can talk about how those genes, those little genetics, that blonde hair kind of keeps coming into my family as well, but the dark hair stays there as well, okay? And then again, if I would go with eye color, again, it's kind of mixed in there. There's a lot of blue and brown in there as well, and I kind of trace it back, okay? But that's following one trait. So what I want you guys to do for part 2 is pick a trait, and on your little sheet there's a website that you that's on there. Click on it, and it gives a bunch of different traits that you could pick, okay? Like a hair peak is one of them if you want to talk about hair peak. I will say this, if all of your family has all dark hair, maybe don't pick dark hair, because that'll be a very boring little chart to kind of show back to me or for us to talk about. We all have dark hair. Okay, cool. Every single family will have some different genetics, maybe not on hair color, but on some kind of trait, okay? A fun one to do is your tongue rolling, like your tongue. Can you roll your tongue? Can you roll a tongue? Some people think that everyone can roll a tongue. Actually, it's not true. There are muscles in your tongue that allow you to roll your tongue. Some people cannot roll their tongue, and that's just because they don't actually have the muscles for it. So they'll never be able to roll a tongue, which is kind of fun. You usually do that in class, and you get to see that. So the tongue rolling is an idea. The hair color is one. If you look up there's earlobes. Earlobes, some people have their earlobes that attach way, way down at the bottom. Some people have it higher up, where there's more of a loose part. Okay, you can look at that one. But I want you to go through that trait and try and find one where you can talk to some of your family where you have some differences. Okay? You're different than your dad, or you're different than your mom, or you're different than your brothers and sisters. Okay? Once you have that trait, try and talk to as well as possibly as many as your family. Don't go crazy if you haven't talked to them in maybe a while. it's good to reconnect, but if you haven't talked to them in a really long time, I don't need you to go crazy with this one, okay? But it's not a bad idea to maybe just try and connect and say, hey, I'm doing a little science thing for this week. I need to talk about this, about your hair color, about your earlobes, about your tongue rolling, and just ask them that way, okay? So there's a little bit about trait. This should help you with your interactive activity number 2 in just what is a trait, and then trying to understand and pick a trait for your, you're gonna make a little video for me, or we're gonna do a little video call to try and talk about this. All right, class, thanks so much. Hopefully this helps. I'll talk to you later.